Hello and welcome to Shady Talk Wednesday. I am your lovely host, Miss Shade. I am excited to be here today because I have a special guest in the building, live in studio with me today. Mr. Councilman Mike Jackson is with us today. Yes, I'm excited that you finally came and showed up and did my podcast because I wanted to talk Paterson with you,
Absolutely.
Mr. Jackson.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, so let's talk. So the reason why I wanted you here because I see there's so much, you know, commotion and just different backlashes and just different comments. People have a lot to say about the city of Paterson. I hear a lot about, the council people. It's just a lot. So I said, let me get Mr. Jackson here today so we could just kind of clear some things up. You know, I hear your name a lot in the ear. So I definitely wanted to get you here so you can clear some things up about your name being out there in the ear and talk about some of the things you're doing. And, we're going to get into you running for mayor 2026.
Jackson 2026. Let's go. Let's go.
So we got to talk about it. So first, I want you to just tell people who you are. And I also want you to tell people, as far as being a councilman, what does that stand for? What are y'all requirements? What are you guys supposed to bring to your city?
Well, first of all, I'm just Mike.
Okay.
That's it. In many occasions, I let people know, listen, I'm just Mike. This whole councilman thing is great, but really, I'm just here to do the work. I've been a council person for about 10 years now.
Okay.
Never knew anything about politics. Never had any aspirations to be a politician. I'm a business person, and the business that I was in that most people know me for is Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't know I worked in the music business for many, many years. I worked under people like Lamont Bowles, who's a Patersonian.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for Eddie F., who was Heavy D's DJ for a while. I worked for RZA. I've done a lot of production. I had my own company that did video production. We fly me all over the world to like Mexico and Arizona to do various projects. So it wasn't my first business venture, but I did an independent film years ago that made some really good money. It was a street film called Underground Riders that I totally produced and did all the music for, and that was like my last project before I kind of just got really fed up with the business. And I went into the restaurant business. I actually owned the building prior to. The proprietor, the person who was renting from us, was a bar, and they got raided for selling drugs. And the place was vacant for about 2 years. And although I had some people interested, I felt that it would be more valuable if I repaired it and then I could sell it. And I opened the business, and a year or two in, it started taking off, and I was there for 24 years.
And that's Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jacksonville. 2001 was around the time when we started, and I had a different name at the time.
Okay.
But so what happened was I was a business person that was done afoul, and it was done. I was done wrong by a lot of the people who held positions within the city. Not necessarily the municipal government, but there's people in Paterson that pull the strings for Paterson that we really don't know who they are. They're old timers. They were, as should I say, and they were putting a hindrance on my business, and taking things that I knew I was entitled to. And I looked around and I said, listen, all the people that's making these decisions are people who don't really understand what's going on. They don't understand the community. They don't know business. They don't know the things that I know. They don't know the people. So right away, I decided to run. And coincidentally, I was asked would I run a year prior because they were running all these political campaigns out of my establishment. And my response was, I would never run for political office because I can't talk out of both sides of my face. And obviously it's part of the reason why I'm so ostracized in the council because, I don't buy into the whole notion of, it's just politics. You got to cut deals and make deals. I'm here for the community. I'm here for Paterson that's been mistreated for way too long. And I don't want to have any private conversations. I want to have all these conversations in public. I want the people to see. It's kind of, I feel like, I'm Michael Jackson in The Wiz, right? And we're here to pull the curtain back, to expose, the Oz is not really nobody else, but just a man behind, that's pulling all the strings. And Paterson is a den for tons of resources, money that we have no idea about. It never hits the street. It gets evaporated so quickly because everybody has their hand in the cookie jar. Now, years ago, when I was a kid, I know you're a little behind me, but years ago when I was a kid, it was a lot of outside people who held the positions. They were making the calls. The head of recreation was a guy named Nick Rocker, and although he was a decent guy, he didn't live in the city anymore, And, Shadiak was the head of the building department, and all these guys that didn't live here that was making the decisions. So when you went to those offices, it was like, no. Now we have a lot of our people in place, but they're not really the ones making the critical decisions. They're following the lead for a lot of other people, and that's part of the issue.
Well, that makes sense. I like how you broke that down, basically saying how it started back when politicians was coming into your restaurant business, kind of just having meetings and just to hear how
everything free, by the way. Everything free. Where they were paying the brownstone,
right?
They were having gatherings and meetings and everything at my place, for free. There was a few people that paid a fraction of the price, but for the most part, it was like for the cause. Let's go. Let's take our city back.
And to hear how you say that some of the people that was in positions, they actually wasn't from the city, so they really can't kind of connect what's actually going on in this city because they weren't from here. So they just was kind of just doing things on their own, brainstorming, to try to get things together themselves. So with that being said, when did you decide to run for a councilman? What was the year that you decided to run? Was it because you seen those people who came into this town and did what they did that you wanted to actually take a stand for your city? Because I know you said you didn't have...
Yeah, I didn't have any knowledge or background. Right. In fact, the only people that I really knew of was Vera Ames.
Okay.
Although I knew her, I still didn't know the role she played. I didn't know what a council person did. I didn't know. I knew she was a hellraiser, and she fought on behalf of our community. But I didn't understand the nuances of the position.
Right.
So what happened was I went to do an expansion on my business. I spent over $1.4 million to expand, and I had some issues, some discrepancies with the bank. So I was very active prior to. I received almost close to $400,000 in grant monies to do other repairs, facade work, awning, sidewalks, various things in the business. So what I did was I was very active, and I helped the other businesses on my block. Even if you go on Grand Street now, you'll see a lot of the businesses still have the same color awnings that I have because we tried to align the colors, and all of that was my doing. So the then head of community development, which now they separated with economic development, he said, Mike, we got some great loan programs. And I was like, really? Because I'm running this short. I need to get some marketing dollars, and I need to get my furniture. And he said, I asked him how long would it take. So about 6 weeks. Wow, that's perfect. So long story short, it took way longer than 6 weeks, almost like 9 months to get everything totally done. So here I am trying to run a business, paying staff, juggling, trying to get this place open. I got mortgages to pay, trying to do a bunch of different things. And about 6 months later, I get a phone call from a board member telling me, hey, everything was approved. Go down there and get it. So I go down to retrieve the check. Well, actually, I called. He gave me the attorney's number, who was located at 100 Hamilton Plaza. And I said, I'm calling. I understand my check is there. He says, yeah, but, we're closing for the weekend, for the holiday. Call us on Monday. It was Tuesday because it was Thanksgiving, rolling into Thanksgiving week. So he wanted to, call it a day. I said, listen, with all due respect, I've been waiting a very, very long time and excessive time for the check. If I could just come over, I'm right around the corner. It'd take me 5 minutes to get there. He said, I said I'm closing for the holiday. Call me Monday, and hung up on me. So me questioning him must have pissed him off, because Monday came, and when I went to see him, of course, I had an attitude, but he had met me with the attitude.
Right.
He was kind of like, we're not releasing anything. We need to do the due diligence, meaning they need to do some more checking. That was illegal. I didn't understand it at the time. I was young. I was
Right.
like barely 30, and I'm moving into this $1 million venture, and he wouldn't release the money, so they extended it another 3 months, and then a lot of the elected people started to get involved. People like Shavonda, who wasn't elected at the time. Elise Evans was in position. Morris, and even Joey tried to advocate for me. He called this guy. His name is Jamie Dykes. He's a guy who basically, his parents owned the stationery store on Market Street. And that business closed down, so he took over this position. And the lawyer turned me away, and then he called me to his office. He's like, yeah, I remember it vividly. This was almost 15 years ago. He was sitting there with his hands on his belly, sitting back. I'm standing up, and again, I'm a young dude at the time. Says, "Who do you think you are, and why should I give you my money?" Now, what I did not understand at the time was this money was given to the city. It was a grant provided to the city that was supposed to provide opportunities for businesses locally.
Okay.
I was the only black recipient. Out of all the other black businesses that was prevalent during that time, I was the only. And I wasn't the only applicant. Casey Melvin with the barbershop, various businesses applied. I was the only black. And, my mother's Puerto Rican, so I was one of like 5 Hispanics, if you want to even, talk about it on that side. And those other recipients, they were tenants of the mall. So Pollo Completo, a few other businesses that was there. So here's this fund of like $30-40 million that they had to manage. Now, they had a lending capacity of $100,000 to $3 million. They let me, I had a perfect credit score, 850 credit score. I had all everything. Again, they couldn't deny me, and I was only approved for $140,000. So their lending range is $100 to $3 million. I just acquired a $1.4 million from Sun National Bank, and they would only lend me $140,000. I mean, I just needed to buy furniture and kind of get started, right? But they held that money up for almost 9 months, putting a hindrance on my business. That's really what put me into the hole that I was in. So right at that moment, I'm like, yo, who is this guy? And then I found out that, 1, it's grant money. It's not his money. I'm entitled to it. 2, more importantly, in order to be approved for this loan, I had to pay an application fee before anything started. I had to pay a non-refundable $1,000 application fee. That application fee was for the due diligence, the background check, the credit worthiness. Can we approve you for this loan? Once they said yes, and then the board voted on it, I'm required to pay that money back. It was illegal for him to hold that money up. I didn't know it at the time.
Right.
What I should have done was hire an attorney. That's why when you see me on the council, you see me only, 1, dealing with truth, right? If I see people that are being mistreated, my job is to make sure you don't get treated the same way that I was treated.
Right.
My job is to make sure that I could provide you what I wasn't provided. Someone, an advocate, advocating on my behalf, making sure that I wasn't mistreated, making sure that I got what I was entitled to.
Right.
And that's why you see me there doing what I do. Now, relative to the council, and then finding out I got elected, I lost my first election because I got in last minute. It was a week prior to petitions being done. I said I want to do it. I got 1,000 petitions ready. I didn't know anything about running a campaign, or I didn't have a team. I had a good, solid team. Jason Moody was my campaign manager. We did well. We lost by like only 200 votes, 300 votes. And for a newcomer, I mean, my name being Michael Jackson, it doesn't hurt, right? But, I really had an opportunity to see what's going on. And then after I lost the election, 4 months later, the gentleman who was in the first ward had gotten removed for some discrepancies. So I had an opportunity right away to take an early seat. And they made me run a special election. Right. Which, again, I didn't have a problem with. And we won. So my first day on the job, I was working because I knew a lot of what was going on. I participated in grant procurements for myself. I sat on a school board for almost 10 years, so I understood the Robert's rules and the parliamentary procedures. And the first day I was on, there was a item before the council where the mayor was trying to give away Pennington Park for 30 years, not the ownership, but the use of Pennington Park for 30 years. Now, the organization, all they had to do, their obligation was to just repair the park. So they was to resurface it, and then they could bring a soccer program in there every day, Monday through Friday, from 3 to 9, and Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 9. And we could use it outside of those hours.
Right.
Let me say that again. Monday through Friday, 3 to 9. Kids get out of school 2:45. So they have exclusive use of the park from 3 to 9, Monday through Friday, Saturday, 9 a.m. to... I was like, wait a minute. They're going to spend a few $1 million just to resurface it. They don't have to pay no taxes. They don't have to do anything. This was my first fight, the very first night I was elected. And I've been fighting ever since. So when I get people that walk around and say, oh, the garbage is out here and where's the councilman at? That's because they don't understand the role of a council person.
Right.
I'm supposed to make sure that the contracts, the funds,
Right.
the ability for the mayor to do those things like collect garbage, like pick up the recycle, like resurface the roads,
Right.
like provide services for the community are in his hands.
And that makes sense. That makes sense how you just broke it down, because I do see where people do publicly post things and they add a lot of the council people and they add the mayor, about certain things that they see in the city, when it's really a breakdown how things are supposed to go. But I guess some people, when they put those things down, they're looking at it because you guys are in this ward that you guys are supposed to basically get it cleaned up, in a certain amount of time. But just like you spoke about Vera Ames, I was much younger too when Vera was a councilwoman. But I do remember growing up hearing that she did so much for the city itself. I remember hearing how Vera even started taking trips with children in her ward in the city. So
the entire city. She took kids to Florida. Who probably would never had an opportunity
things like
to go to
that,
Florida.
right? So my thing
take
is,
3 buses to Florida.
So my thing is, what has changed? Whereas though we don't hear not just about taking kids to Florida, but what has changed that we don't hear the quality of things going on in our wards, in our city, anymore? Why don't we hear any of that? Is it council people are in a seat for their own people, or is it because it's like we really don't hear much of what council people themselves are doing? And I think that's why, a lot of people get so angry with voting. Even how I see how people have to go to one place, City Hall, to try to get out like 8,000 questions and concerns to you guys all at one time. It's just like, how is those things handled? Why don't you guys have your own facilities in your wards, or, some kind of like hall or something that people in your wards can come to those places to kind of get some things out, and then y'all bring it to the City Hall? Because it's like every time you go or you look down there, it's like it's so many things to be heard. I'm trying to understand, how do you guys kind of gather that information to even get things done?
Well, the information is critical. If you don't get out there and get it yourself, it won't be provided. And I'm fortunate that I get calls from the entire city. Right now, the notion is if you want something to happen, you got to call Mike Jackson, because they know that I'm going to fight on their behalf. And it's not segmented to one community. I get calls from, every ward, from all walks of life, from people from various ethnic backgrounds. From my personal perspective, what has changed are the people. Right? Because years ago, you had people who held positions who were more savvy in what the expectations were. And when they weren't, right, there was homeowners that held them accountable. Much like what happens in other communities, in Wayne and things of that nature. Homeowners are more savvy because they're paying the taxes and they're paying attention to what goes on.
So they make sure things are happening where they live. Right?
Now you have such a need where people are, they need some of the basic necessities that if you give them a turkey for the holiday, they're content with that. If you can help them, find an apartment. I had somebody call me today. He's paying $1,100 for an apartment, and it's a 1-bedroom. He has 2 kids, so he's there. His wife, he passed away. He's taking care of his 2 kids, and he's having some issues. And he knows that if he loses this apartment, that $1,100 is out the window. He's now paying $2,200, $2,600, and the affordability is not there. Now, here's where the council definitely comes into play, right? Because where the ball has been dropped has been with the Housing Authority. The Paterson Housing Authority used to provide such an outlet, specifically for Black people, minorities. Because, my mother's Puerto Rican. She grew up in CCP projects. And I think your mom was friends with my mom, I believe. So so the projects was a space where, and she had 8 siblings. My father had 6. He grew up in Alabama. Okay. But when you think about the housing projects back then, now this is before my time, right? It provided such an outlet for us, right? It provided job opportunities. You have people like Reverend Stancil, right, who was a housing police officer. Right. So here you now, you may live there, but you work as a housing police officer, making a living to take care of your family. Or maintenance. Right. There were 205 maintenance people that work for Housing Authority. You know how many there are now? Less than 5.
Well, that makes sense when you're saying that, the people is different now. But do you feel that because, Paterson, I don't want to say the hood, but I do feel like some of us who live in Paterson these days and times are more in a struggle versus back then to where it's though like.
But that's exactly it. Think about it. What the Housing Authority did was it provided opportunities for people who were in the struggle. Right. In fact, I didn't know all of this stuff. Right. I was forced to kind of like go and research it because I have people being evicted illegally. So I go and find out, well, how did this happen? Brookslope, they were trying to eliminate their pilot. A pilot is payment in lieu of taxes. So that means it's a payment to tax, but it's a payment in lieu of. You don't pay full taxation. So they have the pilot that's lasted for 30 years now, right? But the housing projects have pilots that were in perpetuity, meaning they're forever. So Fifth Avenue, CCP, Alabama, Grand Street, well, they just got rid of Grand Street totally, but they still have ongoing in perpetuity pilot, meaning they don't pay taxes, but the Housing Authority no longer runs it. They hand over the management to an investor who has no tie, no connection, no concern, no love for our community, right? He's not providing jobs. He doesn't do maintenance. He doesn't do repairs. He doesn't have 200 maintenance people working. Right. He has some guys that he's paying from Home Depot.
And that's why I feel like to defend Paterson, I feel like the people who used to care, they're not here no more.
But let's focus in on this, right? It's not about the people who care. It's about people who actually know what they're doing. Because Housing Authority provided the service. They no longer do. Right. Who's responsible for that? In 1951, the city of Paterson formulated the Housing Authority to provide housing, low-income, affordable housing for our community. 51. They're no longer doing that, but those properties are still city-owned properties. So these are properties owned by the city that we created a separate entity to manage. That separate entity then turns over the management responsibilities to somebody else. So let me give an example. I own a restaurant. I own Jacksonville. I hire you to manage Jacksonville. Not only do I hire you, I kind of put you in place as you're now the absolute spokesperson. You got to come to me when you want to do anything major. Right. You want to lease out anything, you got to come to me. Because I still own it. Yeah. You're managing it. You make all the decisions. Food selection, service choices, right? when I have an issue, I do have the authority. Remember, I still own it.
Right.
Hey, T,
Yeah.
you ain't doing this right.
Right.
Okay, so let's figure that out.
Right.
You then say, I'm going to bring in my cousin, TT, to come and manage it. And then TT, the money that I'm giving you to manage my place, you turn it over to TT. I'm giving you now
Right.
the money to manage it.
Right.
On top of whatever you're getting from the customers.
Right.
I'm giving you money to manage it. I'm paying you. That's HUD.
Right.
HUD provides us with all of the money to manage and pay for these things. So instead of you taking the money, creating jobs,
Right.
you turn it over to
TT.
who's unrelated.
Right.
What does TT do?
Right.
He
Mess
takes
everything
half
up.
of the money and puts it in his pocket for profit. That's
Right.
called the developer's fee.
Right.
So the developer's fee is $25 million. So just think about that $25 million that's not touching the ground.
Right.
It should be going into the lives of our people. No,
Right.
it's going into his pocket. Now, the money I'm giving you to manage the place, upkeep, repairs, buy supplies, you're turning it over to him. You're keeping a small percentage to
Right.
keep yourself
Right.
working and your kids or whatever, but you turn everything over to him. Now, he is the direct contact with all of my customers. Those are my customers that I'm sending to you. I built Jacksonville 23 years. I
Right.
gave you all my customer base. Everybody coming in, judges and all these people who coming into me. You were supposed to take care of them. You turn them over to TT, and
Right.
he's now abusing them. Now,
So that's what you feel is going on.
no, that's what I know. I'm
Okay,
telling you what's going on.
that's what you're trying to explain. And that's what I wanted to ask you too, because is it true that you and the other council people doesn't get along, and also we hear that the council people doesn't have a great relationship with the mayor? And I was wondering if that is possible, how can anything get done? Because just like you explained the breakdown where this person is to handle this, you give this person, they're supposed to come to you with this. How is that not working for, can you tell me how is that going? Is that really true that you guys aren't getting along with the mayor?
Well, let me say this. The only person on the council that does not get along with the mayor is me.
Oh,
If
okay.
anyone else puts up the facade of them not getting along with the mayor, you can just cancel that, right?
Okay.
Just think about it.
Okay. So that's
Councilwoman
clear.
Davila was the president.
Okay.
He gave her all kinds of awards, accolades. They named her the something of the carnival that they do every year.
Okay.
Alex Mendez and the mayor was getting ready to get into a fist fight. Now, just the other day they did a press conference together. They all in each other's ear. They might as well hug and kiss. Every single press conference that the mayor does now, who's side by side with him? Alex Mendez. There's things that Alex Mendez did not support and voted against, right? Now he supports. Now, there's also things that Alex Mendez didn't quite understand, like, for example, this $100 million project at Fifth Avenue, because they sell it like it's a good thing. Oh, we need new housing. We need better. Yeah, but at whose cost and at whose benefit? So what good is it if you have a brand new car and you get new tires if you never get to drive it? What good is it for you to have a new house, but I'm coming in there and I'm living in it. I tell you, well, you can live in it, from the hours of 3 to 4. You're like, wait a minute, I don't get off work till 5. Well, but that's what's happening. Our city is being utilized for people to make money, and they're making promises. When you look at the best way to figure this out is check their elect reports. The elect reports are their election collection sheets. So who's donating to their campaigns? When you have a girl who's barely 30 years old who could raise $50,000-$60,000, when you have a council person who didn't graduate from high school, who could barely put together, who's never, mind you, I'm the only sitting councilman on the city of Paterson that I write my own legislation. Everything else is written by the mayor, basically, because he hires the city attorney. The city attorney writes it, gives it to a council person. They put their name on it and they say, oh, I'm sponsoring this legislation.
Now, when we do see the mayor putting a lot of great things in the city of Paterson.
Like what? Name one.
A lot of things that it just looks like he's kind of trying to turn the place into, like, even with the stadium. I don't know how the stadium
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Even with the stadium, I don't know how the stadium is running, but I do remember growing up, the stadium was somewhere that we cherished a lot. And with him opening back up the stadium, I thought that was an amazing thing.
Where'd you go to high school?
Kennedy.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was
were you in the band?
No.
Okay.
So I thought that was an amazing thing that he did, and there's a lot of things I kind of see, that he's kind of putting together in the city. I mean, I don't know how everything is
you
running.
Name the stadium. What else?
I can't. I mean,
I can help you.
It's so much, but
there's so much.
But my question is, with that, okay, what is it that you feel that he's going wrong with the things that he's doing in the city?
Okay, so
because I know you running for mayor too.
Yes.
So what do you feel he's doing wrong for the city of Paterson that where you can turn and make this place even greater? Okay, you had to sit up.
We're gonna dial right in on this. So first of all, the responsibility of the government is not just to make things pretty. That's one of the fall-offs, right? But the responsibility of the government is to make sure that they're providing opportunities for their residents. So if it's employment opportunities for housing, opportunities for better taxes, lower tax rates, so when you take a project like Hinchcliffe Stadium and you spend $110 million on it, and a neighboring town, Passaic, redoes their stadium for $14 million. That's almost $100 million differential, right? And you would think when this $100 million, $110 million comes into the city, that it will provide opportunities for employment. Well, how about you only provide 6 jobs for that? 6. So only 6 people from Paterson got to work. When a developer got a great big developer's fee, he also collected a bunch of money, and everybody else from the city came in here to work. Now, the stadium, as you talked about, it was a very, personable thing to those of us from Paterson, especially some of us who went to Kennedy. I mean, right. I played football there, hearing the band walk down from the high school down to the stadium was a big deal.
Right.
But now the stadium's basically commandeered. The kids from Paterson utilize it as a second-tier option. So it's not our stadium any longer. Right now you have the Jackals, who has all of their advertisements and everything plastered all over the place. One of my biggest things was, how much are the beneficiaries contributing to the $110 million? So us, the taxpayers, we paid $110 million for everybody else to benefit. The Jackals come in, they got a home field, they didn't pay any money. Now here's this new girls flag football team from someplace else. No girls from Paterson are on the team, and they have a home field. But the high school, Kennedy, does not even have their markings on the field.
So you're saying Paterson really doesn't have the option to utilize the stadium?
Paterson has 180 days that they are required to give to the Board of Ed. But those 180 days are now working around everyone else's schedule. So if the Jackals has something, we can't do track and field in there any longer. We used to do track meets in there. If there's another team that has a game that's scheduled, they have to move it because the Jackals have priority. Now the concession stand, all of the money that's generated by concessions is given to the developer, who, by the way, put in no money. It's like, and I hate to use examples like this, but I try to be as basic and as fundamental as possible, right?
Okay.
If, and I don't want to use an example on the block, but let's say if, like the brother that's right in front of the Masonic Temple, right? He sells oils and, so he's on the block working this block. That's his spot. He knows that's his space. Everyone knows that's his space. And we then come there and say, look, we want to come on your block. We want to utilize your space, utilize your draw on your customers,
right.
Sell your product, and we'll give you a fraction, a portion of it. Now, you would think, okay, well, maybe he's thinking about retirement, so he would get 75%. I mean, I've been here. This is my product. I built it. You're going to work it. Maybe you make 10%, 15%. No, he gets the 10%, right? And it's his space. It's his product. And he's the one who put up all the money to establish it, to have everything there. So basically, my claim and my issue is that we're being taken advantage of. It was our money. We don't need a developer to manage it. Why? We managed it fine all of those other years. But what they did was, it was a way for them to embezzle money, because a large portion of that money was tax credits. Now, the way tax credits work, tax credits only pay about 75 to 80% of their value. So if I give you 100 million, you only really have 75 to 80 million. You got to go out, sell them to the open market. So what they do is they'll sell it to big companies like PSE&G, who will buy your tax credits. If I buy 100 million in tax credits from you, but I paid 80 million for it, right? Or 75 million. I saved 25 million on paying taxes, because essentially I could use 100 million in taxes to pay my $100 million debt, but I paid you 75 million for it. Right?
Okay.
So those tax credits were utilized to repair the stadium. It wasn't the whole 110, only a small portion of it. But the tax credits have rules. They have rules to where when you build a parking garage, you could use 100% tax credit money. But when you use a stadium, you can only use 15%. So what do? They balloon the cost and say, oh, this really cost us 100 million, but this probably cost 40 million. You understand? But they got to balloon the numbers so that they can utilize the credits and some other sources of funding. But none of that money came out of their pockets.
Okay.
Now, who was supposed to benefit? The residents. The tax credits, the purpose of them is to rejuvenate your community. So the state gives us tax credits to say, hey, your business community is not thriving, your downtown district's not thriving, your housing situation is not doing well, you may need to do repairs on your housing. We'll give you 140 million in tax credits. My first week or month on a job, St. Joe's Hospital was trying to utilize those tax credits to build a hotel on their property. My deal was, okay, $100 million in credits. How many jobs are we going to create? Not just construction jobs,
Right.
but how many long-term jobs? Not just people cleaning rooms. How many, presidents, vice presidents, directors, managers, supervisors? How many local jobs were we going to create? The hospital wasn't up for that. They weren't up for that kind of scrutiny, so they took that money and they turned it back over to the city, and we just basically squandered it.
Okay.
So essentially, that's the job of a council person.
Okay.
So everybody talking about garbage. No, I'm supposed to make sure that the money stays in our community.
Right.
It's not bled out.
Right.
It actually hits the ground so that people can, see the benefit. And that's the job. And my argument is, my position is, I don't think anyone does the job better than I do at this point, because I've been firm on all positions, on holding, the administration accountable. But unfortunately, as a voice of one, in order for the council to yield power, we have to work collectively.
And I'm going to give you a chance to tell us, why should we vote for Mike for mayor for 2026? But right now, I'm going to open the phone lines for about 10 minutes for anybody who would like to call in and ask Councilman Mike Jackson any questions. I believe, Marv, is the phone number inside the if anyone would like to call in. I see some of you guys are, asking questions. So if you want to call in yourself and ask Mr. Jackson while he's here any questions, please feel free to call in right now. The number is, I'm trying to find the number in the comments, Marv.
No question is off limits. We're here to, definitely appease the people and let them know exactly why I believe I'm the only choice in 26. If we want to see Paterson, survive or at least begin to recover, my personal thoughts is I'm the only option.
So I guess until someone call, I'm gonna read some of the. Someone said, what he's saying is facts. Paterson schools are left out. Come on out another day. We would love to hear what you have to say. The people need answers on why our town is struggling. He had his chance, but had other plans. I guess they saying that to somebody else. Someone else said he's worried about the right thing. I love how he said we not pointing the blame on any one person. That's the issue. Everyone is too busy lining
You should
up
read some of those names too.
against
Give these people
him.
some props.
Okay, Aisha Shakira is saying that's the issue. Everyone is too busy lining up against him. It's not starting me at the top. Oh, Teddy said, "Can I bring him on?" Kitty.
Teddy should have came here in person. You should have came here. We could have sat across from each other. But call in, man. We welcome all the calls.
Teddy, if you want to call in, you can call in. This young lady named Kitty said he's executing things he think is great for our city, but he's not maintaining them. I guess she's speaking on the mayor. The things is he's putting our money into dumb blank hell when the town need more money for school and unemployment. Who would you like to see as the next mayor of Paterson? Oh, that's something. Oh, so the number is 862-621-9526. So call in if you want to ask Mr. Jackson any questions, because after this, I'm going to allow him to tell us why should he run. Why should he be mayor for 2026? We want to hear his answers. We want him to tell us, how is he going to come and make the city better for us if he gets mayor 2026? So if you would like to call in now, 862-621-9536. Somebody is saying, call in, Teddy. Teddy, if you want to call, you can call.
Well, one of the things I say, I have my own format.
Right.
I do it. We get decent views. The public tunes in well. Teddy and I, we were supposed to do a head-to-head conversation with regard to our perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And, he made it clear that, or somewhat made it clear that he wasn't interested any longer. He called me out and I said, listen, man, I'm willing to have, and this is anyone, I'll have a sit down with any other elected official. In fact, I would love to have a one-on-one with the mayor. He would never sit down with me because he knows he cannot dispute these facts. So while we're waiting on the caller, why should you support Mike Jackson?
Okay.
Right, 2026. Because I'm looking to restore all of the things that are done wrong in this community. One of the biggest issues that we have is housing. Mm-hmm. The housing authority, the Paterson Housing Authority needs to be revamped. Part of the reason why, and everybody feels that Florio and some of these big developers are the issue, they're not the problem. These people are developers. They're business people. They're only going to do what they're allowed to do. And if they could buy you and pay for you to do certain things, and part of the reason, I think Teddy, has the position he has is because people are looking for opportunities for themselves to make money as well. So we have to remove all of that from the table. We got to revamp and put the housing authority back in position. The housing authority, first of all, they killed inventory. So as the inventory reduces, it's the market. You got to understand business here. As the inventory reduces, demand rises. So what happens? The prices go up. Right now I'm trying to catch a flight to go see my son during spring break. Prices of flights are up. Inventory is down. The demand is higher. So prices rise. And that's why prices for apartments are so crazy right now. You used to be able to rent a 3-4 bedroom apartment from $700 to $1,200. Now that same apartment's $3,000. So the housing component needs to be redone. Um, Opportunities for employment. I'm going to cut every single contract that the city has. We will no longer outsource any of the jobs that get done in the city. Simple jobs that we turn around, we give a developer or a contractor the job so that any contract, the laws of business is 30, 30, 30, 10, right? 30% goes to costs, 30% goes to staffing, 30% is profit. That profit margin between the staffing 30 and that profit margin could go to 60% paying staff, creating jobs. But no, we let somebody pocket that profit margin. So I'm going to get rid of all the contracts when it comes to garbage collection, road resurfacing, sidewalks, all of the things that could be done in-house. We got to build capacity. We got to create job opportunities. We have to create opportunities for people to be able to get a well-paying job right here in the city. There's no reason why Paterson residents at DPW are making $37,000 a year as a grown man raising 4 or 5 kids, putting kids through college and private schools. You can't. It shouldn't happen. We got to get control of our police and fire departments. It has been done somewhat because of people like myself, and I haven't been alone on it, but arguing, like, listen, we need to have homegrown people getting these jobs. But if you look at our fire department, it's been decades and decades of people from Paterson being excluded. I have brought applicants to the table for police and fire that get excluded based on some technicalities of a psych exam.
And now what would you do to change as far as like all of the shooting that's going on and the killings in our town?
Well, the shootings is a whole nother element.
Right.
Because my plan would definitely be to go into the youth population and create programming. We have no recreational, no extracurricular programming right now. So
someone's calling in.
Someone's calling in. Okay.
Okay, we're going to pause on that. We're going to get back to how you will be able to help the city with all the gun violence and things going on. Welcome to Shady Talk Wednesday.
Hi, Steve.
Hi. Marv, can you turn it up a little?
How you doing?
Okay. Hi, how are you? Who's calling?
Hi, this is Kitty.
Oh, okay, Kitty.
Hi, Mike.
Hello, how are
Can
you?
you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Now, my thing is this. You guys are all asking, why do we think that you will be the right fit for mayor? But you guys are all fighting each other. How is that supposed to work in our favor as Paterson residents if you guys can't even get along? You're at council meetings arguing with each other. Some of you guys are sleeping. Y'all pushing blame. But y'all not even taking the questions from the parents that sit in the audience. I sit back and watch a lot of these meetings. I don't come to them because I feel like, why am I coming? If I'm going to be shut down, I'm not going to be allowed to speak, and all you guys are going to do is just argue and fight each other. I can stay home and watch that on Facebook.
And you know what, Kitty?
Our children are watching this.
You know what, Kitty? Not to cut you off. That's what I was going to ask Mike too. If he get the position as mayor, will he still be able to work with the same council people if they are voted in for the same seats again? Or would you feel like you need a whole new team to kind of run your city a little better? So I'm glad you came up with that, because I was going to ask him that if he was to become mayor in 2026, how would that work because of all the fighting and things that we do see amongst one another?
So my answer to you is in two parts, right? First of all, if I sat and agreed with everything that was going wrong, then I really would be serving you no purpose. I would be doing you a disservice. My job in advocating is to fight on your behalf. Now, when I have opposing positions, if you look at all the reasons that we're fighting, is because we're disagreeing on what's taking place. My question to you is, are you happy with the services that you're being provided? Are you happy with the condition of the city, how it looks, the violence, the taxes, the exuberant taxes, the dirtiness, the lack of cleanliness, the people who work in our community who really don't care about what your perspectives are? So that's the reason that I'm fighting. The other thing I want to make sure I clear up something. People think that it's supposed to be this old kumbaya. Since the beginning of government, this is the whole point of having what we call a democracy. There's always gonna be differences of opinion. What it is a matter of who do you believe. Right now, you have all of these council members that have lined up with the mayor in the last 8 years, basically. They support all these things that he's supporting. They don't push back when certain things happen. When Jeff was the mayor, the council they collaborated and they pushed back against a lot of the things that Jeff was trying to do. They got rid of some of his staff members. We just saw the BA, the mayor's selection for BA. She totally disrespected the community and dismantled things. Then after she leaves, every single council person is talking negatively about her. I was the only one who's been very consistent. And further, if you look at even now what goes on in the congressional seats, right? You got Congresswoman Crockett going back and forth with Congresswoman Green. There's always going to be some sort of discourse. It's not just in Paterson. If you look at even the brother who he passed away recently, but he was a great fighter in what was his name? Mays. Eric Mays. He was fighting relentlessly. So you're gonna have discourse. You're not gonna have people acknowledging. Do you think Luis Velez is gonna agree with the fact that he's only paying $700 a month in rent in a developer's home because he's willing to support? And if you look at everything he does, he supports them. So when I point that out, of course he's gonna fire back. He has no other choice. He's gonna try to take shots and fire back. If you don't have discourse there and everyone's just getting along, then that means you must be totally satisfied with the services that you're getting. And if you are, then I'm not your choice.
Okay.
But if you're not satisfied, then I am definitely 100% the choice, because I'm the only person that's been very consistent going against all the things that's happening.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
This is what I'm saying. No, he answered my question, but this is what I'm saying to him. We get it, right? You guys, y'all have to debate on a lot of things, but why do it in the public view? Y'all can't do that behind closed doors. Like, I was raised that, things are supposed to be kept in home. You handle it in home. So if you guys have beef amongst each other, y'all handle that in home. Because when you have a parent up there stating that her son or her daughter has been gunned down and she wants to know, what are you guys going to do to get us more protection on the streets as we walk up and down the street? You got 80-year-olds being robbed. The kids are out of control. I know. I'm a mother. I'm a parent of, once upon a time, out of control teen. I thank God every day, that he got his stuff together. He's still struggling. But however, when you have a parent asking that question and all y'all are doing is fighting about other stuff, we don't care about that. We just want you guys to answer the question. To sue this mother just for, that 5 seconds that she is standing at that podium and she's asking that question. We don't care about, the mayor and this fake dog park that everyone's talking about. We don't care about that at that time. We care about what the question that's asked at that time. All that other stuff, it can be dealt with another time. Like, for instance, this beef between you and Teddy is childish. I respect you as a person. I know Teddy. I respect and I love him and his wife as black people. But come on, y'all on public, going back and forth about something that we don't even care about. Do that in home. That's why I said to Teddy, come on at another time. Because right now we don't care about that. That's not what he asked him. The discussion was about the stadium. It was not about your beef. And that's the problem with us black people. We bring other stuff in when it has nothing to do with the topic. Stay on topic. If you're going to run for mayor, my suggestion to you is that when you do, just try to humble it just a little bit. You might be the person for us. You might be what we need. But at this point, we don't care about all that other stuff. All we care about is what are you guys going to do to protect us and get all this nonsense that's going on in Paterson out of our city. We can care less about what's going on in y'all department.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kitty, for that. We had someone else clicking in. I think someone else wants to get through the line. You want to say something real quick,
definitely.
Mike?
So, with all due respect, Kitty, I'm going to say this. It's not off topic. And I do respect your opinion, But what you have to understand, when that mother's at the podium and it's the council president that's restricting her on time and does not want her to speak further and muffling her voice when the timer goes off and that's it, ma'am, I'm sorry, your time is up. Those are the kinds of issues that I do fight over. And I do think that they are very, very much worth fighting over. When a parent comes down there or a constituent comes down there with some critical concerns, you give somebody who's not from here extended time, but you cut their time short. That is something that's worth fighting for. When we talk about the conditions of our city and the money that's being spent, that has a direct impact on our community because we are suffering financially. And I would love to have a further conversation with you. I know we have another caller, but listen, I'm willing to have very open dialogue with whomever, and when we have differences of opinion. And I want to say this last thing. There is no beef between Teddy and I. We have a difference of opinion. And if two grown men can't sit down and have a conversation about a difference of opinion, then what are we really doing? And no, I'm not interested in having private conversations because I work for the public. I want all of the things that they're talking about to be exposed to the public so you guys can know exactly what it is that we're having issues with.
All right. Thank you so much, Kitty, for calling in. The next caller who would like to call in, thank you, Kitty. 862-621-9536. Someone was asking what was the number here. You can call in now while the line is open. And back to what we were saying too, even with like she was saying, people coming down, can we find a better way where people can come and communicate with you guys that is not so many people at one time?
Well, it used to be more respectful.
We're going to take this call.
We can take the call.
Okay. Hello, welcome to Shady Talk Wednesday.
Hi, I'm calling in.
Okay.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, my name is Aisha Rodriguez.
Okay. Hi, Aisha.
Hi. I'm calling in more so to what the young lady was saying. I agree with her somehow. But when you have the council president who is too busy lining up to go against I just feel like it's more of them mobbing against him, because anybody who sits down and actually watches these sessions, we're going to pick and choose who we're going to let speak, and then we're going to pick and choose sides, and it just seems like he's moving one way and everybody's too busy coat riding on one side.
I completely agree. It's when those touching issues or matters come to the floor, he tries to deflect them. And in running protection for the administration, whoever comes to the podium, I mean, we know you guys, the people come to address the council because they feel like that's their only recourse. But they're really there to address the administration. If you just go back prior to any of these current council members, you'll see that it was handled a lot differently. The whoever came to the podium, if they were given 3 minutes to speak, their time may or may not have been extended, but they were answered right then. Now, if there's 50 speakers, they want all 50 speakers to speak, no communication or no dialogue in between. And what that does is it doesn't give the requirement for the administration to answer to someone's concerns. So I'm totally opposed to that, but I'm not the council president. The council president, I think since Flavio Rivera, they've been fighting for this for a while because they don't want to answer to the public's concerns. As a public servant, as a council person, your job is to be there, to hear the constituents' concerns, and then look over at the mayor and say, Mayor, what are you going to do to address this woman's concerns? And if you don't address her concerns, then your next budget will not be approved. Your next payment of bills is not going to get approved. We're going to separate the payment of bills to pay the employees, but anything else that you're looking for, we're not going to do. That's how the council is supposed to yield its power. Mm-hmm. You hold them accountable by saying we're not going to give you this. But if the mayor could basically influence everyone, now the council president, who used to be his arch enemy, when you see the city attorney walk over and whisper in his ear, he's telling him what to say. I don't think the residents of Paterson is deserving of that kind of government. I think we should have independent people there. So to your previous question, do I think it can happen with the current? First of all, it can happen with any council because the mayor is the ultimate authority. So how the city goes is based on how the mayor takes it. Once the council gives a budget, so long as the mayor does not go outside of that budget in any special projects, the mayor could do as he sees fit, hire the people that he sees fit. But I do think it's imperative for us to get better minds on the council. And hence the reason why I'm supporting other people. I'm supporting Casey Melvin, in this upcoming election. I'm supporting Eddie Olivares. And Eddie Olivares is a great example. He's a Dominican resident. He had some issues with how I was presenting things. The next day I called him. He came to the council. He scalded me. The next day I called him. We met for coffee. He's one of my biggest supporters. So, I understand that people may not understand the reasons why we have to fight, but it is required.
Right. And that's why I'm glad you are here to explain the breakdown of the background, because like people saying, we're seeing that it's just so much fighting. It's like people are not getting along. We're not feeling like people are getting a point across. People feel like they're coming down there, they're wasting hours of time. Nobody is really being heard. Things are still happening to them. Things are still going on in the city. And I guess that's why people here are just so very frustrated.
They are.
And I just wish that you guys could find another kind of way to open up a floor mat some way, somehow. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if you guys can find a place in your ward and have like 8 people on your team, whereas though your people from your ward come out and jot things down. So you do those things as well.
But I'm curious, Ms. Rodriguez, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. And I just want to say before I let go of the phone call, I just feel like if the city has the time to sit on swings at park and be at every ribbon cutting ceremony, we can also take the time to address the crime, as she stated before. There's so many shootings, there's so many things happening in this city, yet there's no talking about that. Mothers are losing their sons, kids are losing their fathers, and nobody is speaking on what really is going on in this city. We're talking about garbage, we're talking about this, we're talking about that, but we're not talking about the kids who are calling their parents because they have to pick them up from school because they know that there's a fight that's about to go into happen after school. Those are the real issues going on in this city.
Yes.
I can't walk from home to downtown because I have to be careful of a stray bullet hitting me with something that has nothing to do with me. So if the city can make the time to do all of that, then guess what? We should also make the time to address what's really going on in this city.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna just say this.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate your call, and I'm gonna just say this: that the mayor he's definitely a great marketer, a publicist. His wife she works for a marketing firm. So their job is to basically fool us into believing that he's doing all the right things. I mean, I asked, you name one. You was like, oh, I don't, it's hard.
Know what? I guess because with the mayor, I like him personally too, as well.
Well, listen, prior to all this, we were friends.
Right.
He came to my establishment and asked for my signature for him running for mayor. If I'm not mistaken, that was the first year I ran in 2015. I ran for council, was it in 2014? Anyway, he's no longer my friend because we have a disagreement.
Now y'all against each other.
He doesn't take your phone calls if you disagree with him. If you cheer him on and you go along with what he's doing, that's not how a mayor is supposed to act. Whether we have a disagreement or not. Just like Teddy and I, if we have a disagreement, well, let's talk about it then. Let's not have a private conversation. Let's talk about it publicly because the issues that we're talking about impact the public.
Yeah.
And, I want the public to understand what my intentions are.
And unfortunately, in the positions that you guys are in, like you said, you do need the mayor in order for you guys to come together to put something together to go to him so things can go in order. So I guess if those things are not coming full circle, we are going to stay right here where we at.
Let me. I'm readdressing Miss Kitty and her concern. Right. We don't have any recreation centers in the city. Right.
Yeah.
Grace Chapel had a property on the bottom of Heldon Avenue, Heldon in North Main. It was a former chicken shack, and the chicken shack it became a den for negative activity. So the church decided, listen, we're not going to renew their lease. We're going to evict them. We're making money off of it, but it's not what our intentions are. They called me a year or so after, and I helped demolition the property. That property was there with a plan, with blueprints and everything for a community center, right? Grace Chapel was moving through the city trying to figure out ways. They wound up forming a committee and collaborated with all the surrounding churches. Grace Chapel, Gilmore, Serenity, Holy Tabernacle, which is right there, not too far from there. And I brought forward the plan. Like, listen, we want the churches are all willing to come forward. The mayor had all of that money, and he never wanted to contribute or make the investment in that space. The first ward, right on North Main, we could have had the plan. It had a swimming pool, gymnasium, common space, office space, classroom spaces. It was a state of the art, solar panels and built out of containers. The $19 million would have more than done that. The $19 million just got sent back because it did not get utilized. Then they allowed.
But was there a reason why he didn't want to do that? Did he say?
Well, that's what I was fighting for, and that's what and I'm telling you, I'm bringing to the public. That's why I like to have these conversations in public. Let him answer that, but he doesn't want to. So what did they do? The city attorney moved to allow an illegal foreclosure of that property. Now you see trucks parked there, and now Grace Chapel has to hire a lawyer to recapture that property because the council voted to dissolve all the taxes and acknowledge that it was a church property. It was a non-taxable. So now the church loses the property. Do you think that's a coincidence? No. So to Miss Kitty's point, right? Would I stay quiet and not fight for that? Would I not just really go hard and fight on behalf of this church organization that their only intent was to do right for the community, to help the community put a center in place where kids can have recreation, which we don't have.
Yeah, and we needed it. We definitely need some recreations. But with it closing, I'm going to now let you shoot your shot one more time. Tell us again real quick, Mike 2026. I want to open my format for all the council people. Maybe I could get Mayor Andre Sayer up here to come and answer some of these questions too, in public, to see how, what's the corruption, what's going on, everybody's opinions. I do know with Teddy on his, to defend him, I know he had a death in his family. Yes. So
my condolences go out to him.
Yeah. So
listen, Teddy and I, we've been verbally arm wrestling with each other since forever. We it's always love and respect. Obviously, I come a little bit behind him. I've had nothing but respect growing up for Teddy. Used to look up to him in many ways. But, now as we are two, lions within our own right, you're going to have differences of opinion. This is not a beef. This is, yes, a call out session. Teddy decided to call me out for garbage not being picked up. And all I said was, obviously, he doesn't understand the nuances of how the government works. And, through his ignorance of not understanding it, he got upset and we went back and forth. There was no harm, no foul. But Teddy, obviously, whether Miss Kitty agrees with him or not, he has an influence. And if you're influencing certain people in the community to believe that the council person is the reason that a property that I have reported, G. Greer has reported, my girl Chinky Chink News, Miss Sheena Johnson has reported, and the property still left derelict. I have done it in the past. I went out, utilized my own money to pay people. I had a van in place, lawnmowers, blowers. You know what happened? I left the van parked inside of the health clinic's parking lot in the closed gate. Somebody jumped the gate, broke into the van, stole all the equipment. That money came out of my own pocket. We were cleaning the community. But the reality is that's the job of the administration. That's what we pay them for. And for anybody else to put out the false narrative that the councilman is failing, now they are doing the community a disservice by putting out that false narrative. So it was only an effort to clear things up. That's it. Teddy and I is nothing but love. I mean, obviously, he has a loss in his family, so we don't even want to expound on him, why he couldn't be here. But the door is still open. And Miss Kitty, for you as well, whoever else, I'm willing to have a open format
and I'm
town
willing to
hall
bring you back.
conversation.
I'm willing to bring you back so we can kind of finish this up.
Well, let's do this. I'll tell you what. Let's plan it this way. We can either do it at Jacksonville, or better yet, we can do it at School 28.
Okay.
Right? Or School 4. School 4 at Napier Academy.
Okay.
Everybody would be invited. Open format, Q&A. I'll answer any questions.
Okay.
And the council could come there, or whomever, if they want to, dispute what I'm saying. But it's very difficult.
Yeah,
to dispute what I'm saying.
I think you need your people to be able to come to your ward or come to a space like that where everybody is not cluttered and trying to get. Even though I know it's going to be the same kind of everybody trying to get one, things out at a time. But I think it could kind of get broken down a little better because. Time is always and what's going on in the city. We just need more and more time to keep talking about it. And I just think that people just feel like the time has been passing and people have been talking and nothing has been changed. Yeah. So we need some change. That's what we're really looking forward to. That's what we want to vote for. Those are the people we want to put in the seat that's going to say, okay, enough of the talking, enough of hearing the people, the situations, the story. We have to make change. So go ahead, Mike, shoot your 26 for mayor so we can get up out of here.
I'm going to wrap this up this way. There was a young brother who grew up in CCP projects. He was a fireman, served our country. He was a Army veteran, came home, became a fireman. He was outside in the public, and, there was an incident that happened. Some people got shot out there. He was falsely arrested. He was charged, and he was removed from his post and fired as a fireman. Once he was vindicated in the courts and it found out he was not guilty, the city of Paterson, somebody who's not from here, who didn't have all of those ills in front of him, who didn't serve his country, was the person making the decision and did not and refused to hire him back. I stood on the edge and I fought with everything that I have. I fought for that young brother. He got his job back, and every day I see him riding past in that fire truck. If he's driving the ambulance, he'll pull over and we hug, and it's real. I'm gonna fight for you. And when the chips are down and nobody else, you turn to somebody and they turn their cheek on you, I'm gonna fight. This is what I do. And I had a campaign slogan one year, keep your coins, I want change. You just talked about change. If you want to change in the city of Paterson, it's only gonna come through the channel of Mike Jackson being at the mayor's seat. And that's because I've been looking at things completely different. If you look at my track record, I've been consistent the entire time I've been a council person. If anybody could say that I flipped or changed on any single vote, I have never. And if you watch council meetings, all you hear them saying, oh, Jackson said, and like Jackson said, because when I said the stadium was the wrong thing for us to do, I was absolutely correct. When I said that trailer park at Buckley Park was the wrong thing for us to do, I was absolutely correct. There's not one issue, one item that they could point to that I have supported or that I've championed that they could say was wrong. And that's part of the reason why I know I'm going to be the best choice for you. So Jackson, 2026, Team Jackson, we are going full steam ahead. Look forward to your support. And call me, inbox me. I'm open, I'm available. I'm 24 hours. I'm here for you. I'm not here for myself. I'm here for Miss Shade all the time. You know how it goes. So yes. I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And thank you for coming out. Thank you for breaking some things down. Thank you for letting me even be aware of how things kind of, get broken down about, the position, how things kind of work. Because I think some people just don't know. And I think people are so angry and so frustrated, and sometimes I know it's not personal. It's just our city. I know I was born and raised in Paterson. Paterson was such a great city, and we wanted to get back to that. So we need help with you guys or you becoming the mayor. to help us get those things that we look forward to. So thank you.
And let me just say this last point. Just because we don't know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I didn't know.
Right.
But now I do. So
Right.
I'm going to try to educate as many as possible.
Right. And we're going to get that scheduled to come to School 4 to kind of connect where we can get other people to come and talk. Maybe that'll be a more mental breather too, instead of going down to the City Hall, that you can get some more questions and concerns. I wished everybody the best. You know, my prayer is that we can get Paterson back into tact. We can get Paterson to come back to a better place. So thank you so much, Mike Jackson, for joining me today on Shady Talk Wednesday. I'm glad you got a chance to come here and give us some encouragement. You kind of spoke, you gave us some background history, even about you, about how it started with you even becoming a councilman, and you weren't even thinking about it, and just running your business and everything like that I'm quite sure people wasn't aware of, and just knowing how things happen, even with you trying to get your business off of the ground, and some of the backstabbing and things that, go on too, because that was great that you brought that up too in topic. But thank you all for watching Shady Talk Wednesday. Thanks again, Mr. Jackson, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.